Welcome to Abode with Afta, the podcast where we step inside real homes and uncover the stories behind the renovations. I'm your host and interior designer Ashley, and I'm speaking with homeowners and industry experts about what it really takes to transform a house. Today I'm joined by Erin. Her and her husband Stuart took on a massive bungalow renovation over the past couple of years, and today we're going to dive into what that renovation looked like and how their design decisions changed the space that they now live in. So welcome Erin onto the Abode with Afta podcast. Why don't we just start at the very beginning, when you first went to view the property as it was at that time? What was going through your mind before any renovation kicked off?
Yep, so we at the time lived in a Victorian sandstone property that we had been kind of renovating, not to the same extent, for 5 years. And we just kind of fell out of love with the property. We were about to embark on quite a big kind of rejig of the downstairs floor plan of that property, and we had everything lined up. We were literally a month off starting. And we just kind of looked at each other one day and went, I don't think this is the right house for this. It still wasn't going to give us the space we wanted. We'd also kind of lived through COVID there and things like that, and we just were ready for a change. We knew at this point we really wanted something that we could put our own stamp on and do quite a big renovation. And I think we didn't really know what that looked like. We had a vision in our head of what we wanted the end result to be, but we didn't know what would give us that. And we'd driven past the bungalow quite a few times, and I wasn't even sure if it was still on the market.
Manifest.
Yeah, I think that was that. Unlucky for some, but luckily for us, it had fallen through 3 times, just various reasons. And we thought, let's go and see it. And I think I can speak for both, Stuart and myself, that when we walked through the door, we knew, even as in the kind of current, in the existing state of the property, that it was going to be for us. It just had a lovely feel about it. The space was amazing. The garden was lovely. So yeah, we were really excited about it. And the kind of difference between it with the Victorian sandstone, obviously it was a 1930s bungalow. We weren't dictated by that era the same way that we were with the sandstone. It was like a kind of 1800s property, very grand, high ceilings, lots of original features, which is lovely. But as a person who's now lived there and renovated a property like that, you do feel quite a lot of pressure to, keep all that, to almost honour the...
So you're not getting your input in,
exactly,
because you're thinking of the house.
You're dictated by the period in the house. And I just felt like with the 1930s era, obviously you still get the high ceilings, there is still a lot of original features, but it's just not as imposing, and maybe a bit more set up for kind of modern family life. That's what we felt as well. So
what, like when you went for that first visit, what kind of condition was it in? Because I remember you putting on Instagram like caravan core.
Don't get me wrong. Do you know, I think I said caravan chic. The kitchen was quirky. The thing was, it had been like older people that had lived there. It was very well looked after. It wasn't in a bad state at all. It just was old fashioned, and we did have to live with it like that for nearly a year. The kitchen was quirky. There was cupboards that actually were just fake cupboards. Do you know what I mean? Or were like very shallow depth that you could only maybe fit one bottle or something in.
Right.
So, and it was a lot smaller than what we'd been used to. But actually it was fine, and we always joke because we had a Christmas there, and I always host Christmas, and we actually set up a dining table in the hallway that year because it just was like, well, everyone's coming for Christmas, we need to find a way of doing it. But yeah, don't get me wrong, it had been empty for about 18 months before we bought it as well, and it had been elderly people, so it definitely was, regardless of what we did, it needed TLC, but it was fine to live with for the period of time.
When you got the keys, did you actually move into it to start?
Yeah, we did.
You sold your old house.
We sold our house and we moved in. And just, I mean, don't get me wrong, we had the architect come on day one. I think he came maybe the day we got the keys, if not certainly then the following week, because we knew, like, we weren't buying it, you know, to not do anything to it. We knew straight away. I mean, I even remember at the viewing saying to the estate agent, oh, I'm going to put double doors there. There are double doors there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I knew straight away. So yeah, it was kind of, when we bought it, we knew that we were going to have to live with it, obviously, to go through planning permission and things, but it was never going to be for any longer than kind of necessary to get everything all lined up, ready to go.
Yeah. So see, when you brought the architect in then, were you like very like, because you're saying there you knew you wanted double doors, were you kind of telling him like, I want this loft, I want this extension?
Well, see, originally,
or was he kind of giving you ideas as well?
Yeah, obviously, they know, you know, we can have great ideas, but actually the architect's the person that's like, yeah, you can't do that. So he wasn't the crusher of dreams.
They always
but
say we'll find out if that's feasible.
He reined in things a bit, but he also actually really quite, you know, this was really good advice. We originally were only going to do a downstairs extension. The loft conversion was going to come later, mainly due to kind of budget, and we kind of thought, well, it's not as big a project then. It was quite daunting as it was. But he was like, he made a good point, because he said, you know, if you're going to be doing all this work downstairs, you're going to then interrupt it and disrupt it in a couple of years' time to put a loft conversion in. Just try and do it now. He also said, he's like, you know, it's going to get more expensive. So if you know that you're going to do it, you know, if you can, just do it now. So straight away we're like, right, okay, that changes things a bit, because now we're also doing the loft conversion as well. So that makes total sense though. A big thing, like obviously with me doing my renovation, I'm speaking about why we've done the top floor first. Definitely.
And it's so that we're not getting a nice kitchen and then people are coming through and bashing it with other things.
And that's the way we did do it. You know, the guys, they started with the loft conversion and worked their way down, which obviously makes sense. But at the time I just was like, oh, I don't know if we can kind of stretch to that. Now obviously so glad we did. So
see what kind of condition was the property in before we get into any nice designs and rooms and all that? Was it like rewiring, replumbing, like all the stuff that you don't see that costs money that you don't want to spend money on?
I don't think it was as bad as they expected, but obviously it's only had 2 previous owners in the best part of 100 years. So it kind of needed, there was rewiring, actually, you know, things came up with walls not being attached to foundations and all this sort of stuff. So a ceiling fell through. So there was there was kind of a bit of that, a lot of kind of foundation stuff as well that had to be redone. So it just, you know, it's an old house. We did kind of expect that anyway.
I think when you're renovating on that scale, you can be prepared for it, but there's nothing quite prepares you for the upheaval and the mess and the disruption on site. No matter if you can see that final vision, you're still like, oh my God, this is chaos.
We actually, and I remember it, because one of the guys in the team I actually went to school with, and so I kind of have a good relationship with him anyway, and I said like we're planning on living here for some of the renovation, and he just looked at me, he's like, no, you're not, Erin, you're not. You need to move out. And I'm now so glad we did. But he was right, because it was just a mess. It was so dusty. As I said, a ceiling fell through in the room that we were planning on living in. There's no way we could have stayed there. And I think that's something that maybe naively going into this, you just don't think. You think, oh, surely they can just work round us. No. We had to move out.
For you, your circumstances as well, you know, you work, you've got a daughter who needs to go to school. Like, how are you going to be getting your morning routine done with, you know, trades in all day?
I know, it would have been interesting. I know. So I think that was the first thing, and I'm glad they were quite kind of straight with us and like, no, you have to move out. So
that's good. So taking it back to working with the architect, from the kind of plans that were drawn up, was that actually what got done in terms of the build, or was there any design changes that you made throughout, or you know, talk us through that?
So we had an original set of plans drawn, which actually they got approved and everything, and at that stage we then had the builders that we ended up going with in, and they are quantity surveyor, and that meeting was a big turning point because, you know, when you work with an architect, you have your ideas, he has his ideas, and we got it on paper. It's really difficult at times to actually know what that will translate from paper to reality. And in my head, I was thinking something. Actually, now in hindsight, it wasn't the same as what actually the plans were in terms of space. So when the quantity surveyor and the guys, the builders came in, we very quickly realised actually this wasn't what I wanted. So with about 3.5 months to go before the builders were due to start, we fully resubmitted plans. I know. And I'll never forget, it was Christmas time. And obviously things like this are expensive. Like it's a full new set of drawings. Total change. You have to go back to, the council, resubmit everything. And I was so scared because I didn't want to lose the time slot that we'd booked the builders as well. So I basically was like, this has to go done now kind of thing. I did kind of become quite panicked and was like putting pressure on to get it done. But we totally changed the plan to make it much bigger, basically. And yeah, apart from that, obviously then what came to fruition, there were a few minor changes. For example, we were supposed to have like an enclosed staircase. We ended up keeping that open and changing that a bit, which I'm so glad we did, because obviously more light comes in now and things. What else? We upstairs in our we've got like our master bedroom and a bathroom upstairs. There was a kind of void space in the bathroom, whereas now we've got this kind of big walk-in shower, kind of steam room with a seat in it and things like that.
Bougie.
So it's definitely, but it was making use of space that wasn't doing anything. Even things like, for example, because we've got the bifold doors, they have to open out onto like a flat level surface. And originally it was just like put down as like a concrete block, essentially, obviously meant for paving. We've now changed that. We've got like a raised decking area and things. So that there were changes, but nothing too major after that initial full redesign with like 3.5-4 months to go, after sitting on the plans for like 4 months before that. Do you know what I mean? But I think I'm so glad we did that. I don't regret it. It was very stressful at the time. It obviously added expense onto the process, but the space we've gained from doing that now is night and day better than what it would have been. So do you think like you spent a wee bit longer at the planning phase than you had maybe anticipated, but obviously it paid off? It definitely paid off. I think if we'd rushed in, we would have been left with something that we probably would have wanted to extend again. And the thought of doing that again after the upheaval would be, because then you would be living there. Exactly. And it would have just probably not made sense, because it would have cost more than what it just doing it right the first time would have. So I'm so glad. I remember it vividly though, as if like, right, are we doing this? And it was like a kind of yes, no, and we just went down the yes path. So spend a little bit more time going over your plans before you get and involve everyone. Kind of, obviously we had an architect before actually we found our builder. Maybe in hindsight, to be fair though, our architect was great, it's nothing against him, but maybe in hindsight speaking to the builder first, or involving everyone in that process is something I would recommend, because they'll come up with different ideas from what your architect will come up with. They're the ones creating the spaces. They've got that experience. The architect obviously has a different set of kind of skills when it comes to that. So it probably took us a bit longer to get everyone together, just because they were two individuals. That's true. Like working as a team, for me as a designer, like I can come up with things, but it's only as good as the person that then fits it. Exactly. But I need their expertise to tell me, well, that's great on paper, but are you going to try and build that? Because it's impossible. I know, that's it. So exactly. There is that, it kind of goes back and forth before you can settle on something, but you need to have that settled to put it into planning, because they want to know what's actually getting done in that case. So what was that then, 3-4 months of planning? Well, it ended up being, it was longer. So we got the keys kind of like the end of May, and the first set of plans I think were approved around about the October time. We then resubmitted them in the January, and our build started in the April of the following year. So it was essentially like 11 months. Between kind of, there was a mixture of that was planning, but also waiting for our builder. Like they obviously had other jobs booked and things like that, which we were happy to do because we ultimately wanted them to do the work.
So when you were like, let's talk about that process of finding the right builder for you. So how did that come about, and why were you willing to wait for them?
So we had, in our previous property, we had kind of not necessarily signed anything, but we were using a different builder for the planned renovation. We did consider them still for this build, but I think probably because we had that extra time, I just kind of not shopped about, but I basically met with other builders just to kind of see, you know, what they could offer in terms of like design as well. And there were certain things I really wanted that some would say, oh, I don't think we can do that, and others would say, yeah, we can. And that was something our architect said. Actually, he was like, you're not going to be able to get someone that can do everything. You can't get someone that's quick or cheap, but also really good. Like,
that's the three thing, isn't it? Like you can have somebody who's quick but cheap, or quality.
So
and things.
That's it. So I think when we met with smaller companies, we met with bigger companies, and ultimately it does help people that have like, you know, good social media platforms to be able to see the work. That really helped as well. And how we came about, so the builders we ended up using are Aroha Joinery. So it was two guys, Gary and Craig, that we met with. And kind of straight away, I think when you're doing such a big project like this as well, you're going to be speaking to them a lot, like, you know, at least every couple of days. You need to have that kind of rapport where you feel comfortable phoning them up. And again, you just feel like you can, you know, say things to them like, this is what I want, is that possible? You want them to be honest with you, but at the same time, you don't want everything to be a pushback. You don't want to be, oh, I don't think we can do that, because then it's like, oh, well, surely someone can. Do you know what I mean? So I think with we just really clicked. I really liked their work.
That's it. It's a personality game as well. Like, you know, people work for people, so you need to have the walkthroughs at the beginning and it's a vibe.
Yeah,
you know,
it definitely
as much as it's a skill, it's a vibe.
And they weren't, like, in terms of, you know, were they the cheapest? No, they weren't the cheapest. Were they going to be the quickest in terms of, you know, when we could get them in? No, there were other people that could have started sooner. But I just knew, I was like, I trust these guys. I feel like they get what I want to do. They also said yes to pretty much everything. Which helps.
Yes, and work out later.
That is it. Like, you know, so, yeah, I can't recommend them
that
enough.
shows a keenness from them. They obviously wanted to work with you. So it works both ways, you know, with that. So when your renovation started in April, what was the time scale on that initially?
So I think initially it was 16 weeks.
Right, okay. And you were moving out for that? We were moving
out. So we moved out literally like that, you know, the weekend before they started. I'm sure the original time frame was 16 weeks. Maybe that was my time frame though. I feel like the builders always kind of said it might be a wee bit more, Erin, but in my head I was like, no, it won't be. Ultimately, the kind of the weather dictated some things.
You just can't predict some things.
And even though it was over spring summer, you know what it's like. It rained a lot.
In Scotland, you don't get more than 3 days nice in a row.
Aye. So I think it was the roof that kind of held things up a wee bit. But I mean, even then, like, it was 20 weeks in total. So 4 weeks is nothing, do you know, in the grand scheme of things. We probably could have moved in a little bit earlier, but it would have been pointless doing that because they were still there every day. You know, there was other things going on. So 20 weeks is how long we were out the house for, basically. There's been kind of other things they've came back to do in that time frame, but nothing that's been major that we've had to move out for.
So how did you find that not living there? Because when I was doing my top floor, I wasn't living there, but it was still quite taxing having to go down, walkthroughs constantly. So like, how often were you going down or, you know, doing more walkthroughs for them? Because even though you've got the plan, you know, you still need to check in regularly.
Yeah, definitely.
And how did you find that?
So we moved in with my in-laws who just stay across the road. So
perfect.
that was ideal. Logistically, that was handy. And I'm off on a Wednesday, so I went to the house every single Wednesday. Yeah. There was also times I was popping in, after work, sometimes before work, sometimes I'd work from home so that I could be there for certain things. It did feel like another job for me. It was kind of myself that basically project managed it, obviously with the guys as well, with the builders. So yeah, you have to be there a lot. Every weekend is taken up by making decisions on colours, paint colours, which I was talking to you all the time about
choose
that.
the paint colour last.
Yeah, it's hard. Things like, appointments for your bathroom, appointments for your kitchen design, like these are not... if you want to be involved with the design process and you want the end result, you have to put the work in with Lee's and with the builders, just with going and seeing things and making decisions. It is... I loved it. Yeah. Like, I don't talk about this with any bad feeling at all. I loved everything. I would do it again in a heartbeat. But I guess some people would
find sacrifice
it...
that
you do.
The time spent.
Yeah, because the weekends aren't fun anymore. You're going to like showrooms and things like that. So yeah, it was hard in that respect with the time consuming, but again, I did like it. There's a lot of decisions. See,
once you're on that, like the builders are there, like obviously your kitchen's not going to get fitted in the first, first phase, but you still have a deadline because you're like, they're coming this date, so we need to get this pre-ordered because they've got delivery times and all that. So you're then got something on your heels saying, right, we need to make a decision now. So
it is that, which sometimes is a good thing because
just have to.
It's the pressure, and you have to just make your mind up. Other times it's difficult because you're like, I've not had time to really decide on this, and then once that's locked in, to change a decision can be expensive. Sometimes you can't, and it's just kind of suck up. That's it.
So your build started upstairs.
Yes.
Did you start your design work upstairs as well?
Yeah.
Because you were going with the flow of the renovation?
Yeah, probably. So we definitely had to design the bathrooms quite early on. So we've got a kind of a full bathroom suite upstairs and then a shower room downstairs. We designed them both at the same time, even though the downstairs one obviously came later. And yeah, so we had to do that. Other decisions like... for example, carpet, obviously that's going in much later on, but if you're having carpet upstairs that you want to flow throughout your house, you need to make that decision quite early on. Things like lighting as well.
Yeah, because you need your electric there first fix, so you need to decide them early on.
Yeah, so things like that you have to kind of just make the decision, and that's tricky because you're making a decision based on a loft conversion for the rest of your house that hasn't been built yet. Do you know what I mean?
And you use every space differently.
Yeah, you do.
So how do you work around that? So I think, like, especially doing my own, it's like you're having to question what your life will be like in 2 to 5 years time. So it's like a personal discovery, like how do I want to live? And is this going to set me up for that? And obviously certain design decisions dictate how you move throughout a space as well. So was there any challenges that came up throughout the renovation, like that caused the setbacks and the time scale, or that you had to work around, or maybe something you really wanted that was pushed back on?
Nothing. Nothing comes to mind that we didn't get. That was a kind of no. I always think you have non-negotiables. Like
compromises.
You have to have them. You have to have something that you're like, no, this has to happen. Like for me, was the double doors into the extension. I wanted that, and I remember having a conversation with the quantity surveyor. She was like, why don't you change that to a single door? And I was like, no, like that is not changing. So I think you then have a list of other things that can't happen. For us, there was really nothing major. I think what we wanted was quite realistic. One of the only things I remember that was a wee bit gutting, but it wasn't, and now I'm like, it's not that big a deal. Basically, when we, our hall was quite dramatically changed. You know, we knocked down a bedroom to make it. We moved, you know, kitchen walls, like the stairs are obviously in. In the original house, there was, you know, 1930s coving and things like that, which I really wanted to keep. And unfortunately, just with the way that it worked with the ceiling height and the stairs going in and things like that, we couldn't have it. And I felt bad. And I think it came from living in the Victorian sandstone, because I was like, oh no, like, you know, that was there for a long time and we're taking it away and things like that. So we actually opted to keep it in the kind of inner hall, if you want to call it that, as a kind of like nod to the original property in the 1930s feel.
That's nice, like when you first walked in though, because that's what you would have seen
that's
first.
it. And we loved that.
So you still have that... like that feeling of oh my god, this could be something. So
and
you
then
still feel
when
that.
you go further into the hall, it does definitely change into a more modern feel. But then that bit is a modern house. Do you know what I mean? That's a 2024 property. So I think things like that felt gutting at the time, but now in hindsight, I'm like, it's not that big a deal. You know, we don't, I guess, owe anyone anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But there wasn't really any other... I can't think of any other major issues or setbacks. Everything actually, touch wood, went very smoothly.
That's probably came though because you chose to look for the right builder.
Yeah, definitely.
And were happy enough to hold off. And like you said, some people were saying we can't do that and stuff, and you were like, well, I'm going to find somebody who can.
I know. And the builders, the guys are very professional. You know, they know their stuff. They've got a really good team, so they obviously subcontracted everyone else. You know, the electricians, the plumber, like the brickie, like things like that, all the trades. So that was a massive kind of weight off my shoulders. I didn't have to deal with that. So I think it's a credit to them really that things went so smoothly. They should, you know, I know that they are proud of the work they've done, and I hope they feel like it's as much their kind of baby as it is ours. You know what I mean? Like, we obviously lived there, but I hope when they drive past they think
we did that
house. Do you know what I mean? Because that's how we feel about it. So
that's amazing. So see if... when we'll take it back to the design, so because this is the fun part. So once the walls are up and you're like, right, we actually get to, you know, obviously you make some decisions early on, but what would you say, like, how did you go about the design? Where did you start? Were you using Pinterest or the showrooms? And what led you to, you know, decisions that you now get to live in? So I just generally have an interest in, you know, interior design. Obviously, I've, you know, spoken to you a lot about it. I've came to your workshop and things. So that really helped, because I think mood boards are a massive thing to do. And obviously you can physically do them on canvas, and like we did at your workshop. Or you can do them on things like, you know, Canva, and just making stuff up on your phone and things like that. So that really helped. I did have mood boards, like almost for kind of every room. I also just had saved Pinterest, even just like screenshotted things from Instagram from other people's houses. We didn't actually go and see anything, which, I mean, it's funny because people have now came to see our house that have done similar projects and things like that, and I love that. It doesn't bother me at all. But I just never really thought to do that. I suppose if it's on Instagram, you know, I can see it there, sort of thing. So I did that, and probably just kind of pieced it all together. It is hard. It's easier when it's a room, like, you know, for example, like we have what was the original living room. It's kind of now our formal lounge. It's one room, it's not open planned, so it's one space, and it sits by itself in the original property. So we had a bit of fun with it. And we went for, you know, bold colour drenching and a really dark green colour, with kind of gold accents and things like that. It is a dark room. We put a black window in, and the window's quite quirky. It's like a long, thin window. I love that window.
It's
like
an
architecture
cool. That was the architect that
I love that.
You know,
I think I commented on that.
Yeah.
Like, the room's nice, but I love the window.
I know. And it's such a nice room, and it's different. It's different from all the other rooms.
See, when you've got, like, the benefit of having two living spaces is that you can have two different vibes.
Yes, definitely.
So you can, and, you know, you do need that kind of nook area to get cosy.
Yeah, it is a cosy room.
So you've got that.
Yeah, we've got the log burner in there. It was going to be a dark room, so I leaned into the fact that I was like, I can't make this a light room because the window's much smaller now. So it's a snug essentially now. Yep. Don't get me wrong, we don't use it much in the summer, but in autumn through to spring, we're in it quite a lot with the log burner. If we ever have friends over and things, it is a really nice space. That's easier to design. I found it trickier when it was the open planned kitchen, living, dining, and the hall, which is quite open as well, because they flow into each other. That's
more like space planning, which dictates rather than finishes. But again, whatever you use in the hall, because you've got the double glass doors, it needs to, because you can see all the way through.
And one of the main things we said was that we want the same flooring all the way through. So we don't have in the two rooms at the front, which one's a bedroom and one is currently a playroom. They have carpet.
Yep.
But the hall straight into that snug, straight through into the extension, even in actually our bathroom upstairs, is all the same flooring, which creates a kind of theme throughout the property. We also leaned into a kind of similar colour scheme. So in the extension, we have our kitchen. We have an island. The island we opted for an olive green colour. That ties in with the green room, the kind of formal lounges get green in it. Our daughter's bedroom's got green in it. Like, there's little accents of green.
And just because I know like your house, because you've got the bifolds at the back, you've got all that green outside, and that comes in, because that's exactly what I've done like at my house, because you can't get away from it.
You can't.
And you buy the house for the plot essentially as well, so it's work with it. And if that's what made you buy it in the first place, you obviously, why would you not bring it into the space?
That's it. I think there's a lot of glass in the house. It's south facing, which is great. In the summer it's brilliant. We're actually, that's our next project is the garden, starting a couple of weeks. I know Stuart's been, bless him. So that's kind of starting now as well. And I think that was one of the biggest things that we regretted at our last property, was it had quite a mature garden, which we were a bit scared of, and we didn't know what to do. So we kind of ripped it all out and made it very easy. A lot of kind of patio, a lot of kind of what they called like the big like sleeper planter areas and stuff. Now they're great, they are great, but I think it's easy to then do that and realise you've actually made it too modern and not really have any mature trees and things like that in it. And I think when we moved into this house, the garden was lovely. It was huge, but it was lovely, and it has been hammered by the renovations, don't get me wrong, but we were just really conscious that you can see all that all the time. I don't want to take it all away, so we are keeping the trees. We are putting new grass in that is actual grass, not astroturf, like things like that, because it's a 1930s property at the end of the day. Yes, we've made it a lot more modern and put a modern
and you wouldn't get a garden like that if you bought new, so take it as a lucky star. And I suppose because you've renovated and you decided to go bigger as well, you've took a bit of garden anyway, so even though you've got it the way it is, it's still more manageable. It is. You just have to do it.
I can't believe how big it was now looking back. I'm like, how we've never coped with that. Whereas, don't get me wrong, it is still a really big garden, but it's not as overwhelming now.
So what is your favourite room in the house? What would you say?
I love the hall. I love the hall. I know that seems so rubbish.
First impressions.
I love the hall. It's so. I think that's what it is. It's first impressions.
This is because when you walk into your hall, you think, this is my house. It's probably the feeling it gives you.
It's just
like you get to retire there at the end of the day.
I know. It is. It's just. I just love it. There's the builders will laugh because. One of the things that was a change in the design was I decided I wanted an arch in the house. There is an arch in one of the rooms it was a bedroom, it's now a playroom. it's a little kind of arched.
Is that like an alcove?
Cupboard. Yeah, like an alcove. And I loved that, and I thought, we're not getting rid of that.
Yeah.
But I wanted an arch when you came in through the kind of inner hall into the main hall, and the guys made it happen. I don't think it was the easiest thing to do, but they did make it happen.
Arches are on their way back.
Well, it's funny because they said, they're like, the amount of arches we've ripped out and you're wanting to put one in, but I love my arch.
It's just something interesting.
I love
isn't
it. It just, yeah,
it's
and
a
it's
softness,
soft,
it's feminine.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
If I could have more arches in the house now, I would, but
Yeah.
I love that. I love my hall.
It breaks up so in a hall, that's where all your doors lead off, which are all rectangular frames, so it's just something to break that.
Yeah.
And then you go into rectangular, 4-wall boxes.
It is.
So it's like something your eye goes to, like, that's different.
Yeah.
And I really, really like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with that room. Don't get me wrong. I love our bathroom upstairs.
Right.
It's a wee sanctuary
Yeah.
for us. We always knew it was kind of the reason we didn't make it an ensuite was basically so that, if we have guests over and things like that, there's 2 toilets essentially.
Yeah.
We don't have to go into our bedroom. But we're the only people upstairs,
Yeah.
so
you've got your own.
feels like our suite, if that makes sense. And I do love our bathroom. It's a bit different. It was a bit of a bolder design with the tiles and things, and it kind of feels like a wee spa. So I love that as well.
What do you have upstairs then? Like, what went into the loft?
So we have our bathroom, which is, we've got a double vanity, a freestanding bath, and that big shower. So it's quite a big bathroom. And then we've got our bedroom, and then there's like a big kind of walk-in cupboard as well at the top of the stairs. So yeah. Don't get me wrong, we went to see a neighbour's house who has also done a loft conversion. They managed to get 2 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs.
Right.
We retained a loft as well.
Yeah. See, because you've got a playroom downstairs,
Well, that's
so
it.
if you ever needed an extra bedroom, then...
Which I think we knew moving into this house, especially because our last house was so big. It had, 4 bedrooms, 3 reception rooms, and a big
just
kitchen.
lie empty. What's the
We
point?
did. They lay empty. We didn't use a lot of them. And I think there is a kind of trend these days that people are like, oh, we need the 4-bedroom house.
Yeah.
We didn't need a 4-bedroom house. And because...
Three bigger rooms.
Yeah, exactly.
Than 4
That's the
empty
thing.
ones.
I think because we bought an older property as well, the bedrooms are bigger. We only use 2 of them as bedrooms. We've got a spare that's used as a playroom, which will grow as our family gets older. But yeah, I think there is this kind of, let's have 4 bedrooms, but what are you using them for?
Yeah.
We wanted every room to have a purpose,
It's
basically.
dead space, isn't it?
That's it.
I work with clients sometimes as well, or even show homes these days, they're designed like with your kitchen open plan at the back, but then they have a pokey dining room at the front.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's carrying their, Christmas dinner to the other side of the house?
Exactly.
Like,
I know.
just like use that room for something else, or it's set up formally, and people don't use it.
I know.
Like, again, like if you've got the big family, that's your lifestyle.
Yeah.
But obviously for your lifestyle, you don't need,
I think,
X bedrooms. Like, how often do you have guests staying overnight?
We were lucky because we had the experience from the last house. Had we bought this, as our kind of first family home, we might not have had that mindset. But I think because we knew where we were
in
with our life, we had the luxury of being able to actually, we're going to design this exactly for us. Because we hope to have it, for a very, very long time. So, yeah.
Amazing. So, what I got on to the good part, which was winning an award for your house. So, like, I don't even know much about this. I know you won, but take me through that experience. Like, how did it even come about?
So, I was contacted by the kind of organiser of the event.
Right.
So it's the Scottish Home Improvement Awards, and I went to school with one of the girls that kind of runs the awards, and she said, oh, you should nominate either yourself or your builders or whatever for this. And I kind of looked at it and I thought, I'll nominate the guys, like I'll nominate Aroha, and then she was like, oh, there's actually a new category this year. It's Scotland's Home of the Year. You should nominate your house. And I was a bit like, I didn't ever think that anything would come from it. So anyways, I have, my home Instagram page, which has just been for me, basically.
To look back on.
It's been for me to look back on. Don't get me wrong, friends and family follow it and things, and we have had kind of other people in the probably local follow it and things, which is lovely. But it was really just for me to look back and to kind of give myself something to do whilst the process was going on. If I needed any help with design decisions, I would put something like a wee poll up and people would help. So anyways, we were nominated for that, and people vote for you, and then you get through to the next round, and then we basically had a visit from their judge, who was a guy that was on 60 Minute Makeover back in the day, John. And it's so funny because I was a huge fan of 60 Minute Makeover as a child. Like, a massive fan. So I couldn't believe it that he was coming. I was like, I cannot believe this. And I was like, I'm going to have to say to him.
in my house.
I am going to have to say to him, like, I loved you back in the day. You always wore a coat and things. He was really funny. So anyways, they came to the house with the builders were there as well and stuff. And we gave them a wee tour. And it was such a nice experience. Again, did not think anything would come from it. I didn't even go to the award ceremony because I just kind of thought, this is nice. See if the builders get something out of it. I'll be so happy for them. And I had been out with my old work at the races, at your races, the night of the award ceremony. And I got a call, like maybe quite late, like 10 o'clock. And it was the builders, and they were like, you won. You won. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, your house got Scotland's Home of the Year. And I was so emotional. I was like, really? Like, I couldn't believe it. And it's so nice for them. Like, it really is for them to be able to say that they, created a home for us, but showcasing all of their work is amazing. For that to be recognised for them is really good. I'm really proud of that. But it was just a really fun process. Obviously, like, there was kind of filming done and things. Like, we've got some lovely professional pictures of our house.
I've seen the Aroha's marketing ones.
So the Aroha ones were great as well. Like, it just was a really fun experience that almost... It was, regardless for us, it was worthwhile because we now have our home at the end of it. Yeah. But to have that, we've got our certificates, like do you have a wee trophy? Yeah, well, it was like a...
need to build a wee alcove for it.
I know, because they're not up, they just sit in our utility room just now, but it was like the one when you were a runner-up or through to the next round, a finalist, that's it. And then the winners one. So I said to Stuart, I was like, we need to hang these somewhere so that when people come in,
let's go change all this room.
I know. But no, it was a lovely experience. John was great as well, such a nice guy, and we still are friends on Instagram and things like that. So yeah, a very full circle moment for sure.
Amazing. So what is it like now that all the building's done and you're actually living there and you get to call that your home? So obviously I follow your page, so you're always entertaining and family life. So like, how is it just being in there now?
It is lovely, don't get me wrong. Like, I think sometimes you life takes over and you kind of forget what you've done and you just accept that it's your house. But I think when the way we use the house, we do have family over a lot, we do have friends over a lot. It is lovely, and I think they would all agree. Like, our first Christmas there after it was done was great. It was just so nice to have everyone. The space works for what it's supposed to work for us, which was, all being together. Being together in the one room, but doing different things. We can be cooking, or we can be sitting at the dining table, we can be sitting watching TV, but we're all together. And that was really important for us as a family. I think, the more you live there are things that you think, I would maybe change that, or I would be braver now. Like, obviously, colour decisions hard.
Colour decisions, though, they are... you can change your colour of a paint any time. Easily. Obviously, your kitchen's a bit different. It's fine.
That's it.
But, or changing up the decor with seasonal pieces and things
which
like that.
I do, and that's been lovely to do. We still have things that we want to do, but nothing's major. Everything's now like cosmetic or something. So, it's just such a nice home. It does, and we've had, the builders have been back for various things, and they'll say, is everything still all right? Like, are you still happy? And I'm like, like it's great. It's just lovely to. I think it's also really important, and this is maybe a wee tip for people that are thinking about doing a renovation. see living there through the seasons.
Yeah.
That can be quite important. Because your house changes.
Definitely.
Things even just like, is a space cold?
Yes.
Or is it too warm? Things like that can be quite important. Lighting at different times of the year. So we did live there basically through all the seasons, you know, before we started the renovation. We've now obviously lived...
So you got to know the property.
Yeah, we've been back there now through Christmases, through a summer, things like that. So, you know, that's really good to do. And yeah, it's a great place to live. I love my home. Don't get me wrong, I would love to do it all again, but...
So I was going to ask you, is this forever home? Yeah,
I think I always say to people, don't say that. We used to say that, and then after moving, I always say, like, do you know something? Don't say that, because you just don't know what will happen. But I just don't know how I could part with this property to be honest, because we created it. Yeah. You know, I guess it's different if you just move in somewhere and you decorate it. You still do make it your own, but like, we literally built this for us.
For your life.
Yeah, like for our life. And I just can't imagine anyone else having it. Yeah. So I don't see how we could. I would, you know, I've not hid away from the fact that I've said this to the builders, like, I want to do this again. Yeah. But I just don't know.
Wait 10 years.
I know. I just don't think I can move, so I don't really know what that means.
But if you're never going to move, then ultimately you will do it again. But it will be less of, it won't be let's build a wall here and do that. It'll be more cosmetic.
It will probably
It'll be more modernising with the times.
Yeah, that's true.
Rather than anything.
Yeah.
And again, your family will continue to grow. Yeah. And your daughter will get older. And then she'll have a bit more input.
I know. I know, that's the bit I'm not looking forward to.
Where she'll get it from.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to steer her in the right direction, hopefully.
So, for our finishing thing on the podcast, we are doing 2 in 1. So what is 2 things that you think, like, that's the best design decision ever? Okay. And what's one that you're like, I wish I'd done that now? And they can be, like, to do with the interior or functionality or practicality. It can be anything at all.
Okay, I'm going to go with the one thing first. Yeah. So one of the things which we didn't do that I don't necessarily regret, but I just wish we maybe had now, was in our extension, which is like the kitchen, dining, living. It is a very big space. We didn't put underfloor heating in.
Right, okay.
The reason being, see, in the spring and the summer, it is a very warm space. Yeah. There's a lot of glass. We've got the 2 lantern skylights. We have a set of bifolds and we have a window. Yeah. So it is very, very warm. In the winter, I just feel like it could probably benefit from having a bit more of a cozy.
How many radiators do you have
it's got 2 big radiators, and then the utility room, which is just off that space, has a radiator. The hall's got 2 radiators, so it's not cold, but I just feel like because it's such an open space in the winter, it could be cozier. Yeah. I even said, I thought maybe would we put another log burner in here eventually? It might be something that, you know, in a few years' time we look to do. I just think in the winter I tend to gravitate more to the kind of snug room, because it is cozier.
Do you not think though, like, because you have the 2 spaces, again, living with the seasons, like, it makes everything keep fresh as well?
It probably does. That's the thing. That's how Stuart feels. He definitely feels, he's like, I wouldn't want a log burner in it, because why would we then move and sit through the other room?
You'll have another room that's, you know, just like...
I guess for me, maybe because I'm there with Sloan, like our little girl, like if she's playing and things like that in that room, and I'm sitting, I would probably like it to be a bit cozier. But I mean, it is something I guess we could add. The problem is, like, we love our flooring. We're not planning on changing that. It wouldn't be the easiest thing. But yeah, that, I mean, it's not, it doesn't affect me. It's kind of first world problems. It's not a massive deal, you know. But yeah, that's maybe something which I guess we should have just done anyway. We should have just put it in, and then you've got the choice whether you want it on or off. But we don't have that option now. That is honestly like the only thing I can think of, because I just,
that's probably came down to you spending a bit longer at the planning stage, and then actually designing for your life, and not just for looks.
I
things,
think
because room sizes are there. You're using the space the way you want to live, like the Christmases and entertaining and the lifestyle. Really,
I don't think there's anything else that I would. I mean, there's little things like, for example, when we were designing our kitchen and the utility room, we designed them together. we have like one of those bin drawers, which is great. You know, it's got the separate bits for recycling. It's in the kitchen, but actually we probably should have put one in the utility room because that's where we would go to take the bins out. Things like, and that's, again, it's very small, pernickety things that now, because I have lived there, I'm like, oh, I wish we could do that. So it might be something we change, you know, eventually if we ever change the kitchen. But nothing. I honestly can't think of anything else.
What's two things that you...
Two things. I'm going to say the shower.
Right.
Because upstairs shower, because that was a design change that came from the builders. I had kind of been thinking about it, but I just didn't know how feasibly possible it was. But the shower's lovely. It is so nice. You know, it's got the
hotel vibes.
It is hotel vibes. It's got the inbuilt seat in it with the made out of the tiles. Like, it just gives it a more luxurious feel. It uses the space wisely as well, because that just would have been a void. So that's a feature that I'm really glad that we changed.
Do you have a window in your bathroom?
We've got a window, which is actually over the bath, which again, some people might find a bit strange. It's a Velux window though, but when you're in the bath and it's raining and you can hear the pitter patter, I'm like, it's just adding to the spa vibes. It's so good. So yeah, I would say that. And then I'm going to have to say the hall.
I knew you were going to say the hall.
I know, shocker. But two things I know. Obviously the arch. I've spoken about the arch. The best thing ever. I love my arch. But the stairs, the staircase, which is actually, there's part of the staircase though that I don't like, which I will come back to. But I love my staircase. I love the banister. It was supposed to be a wall, and I just think, oh my goodness, it would have looked not, you know, half as nice as it is now. It's so open and light.
Like your hall and stairs is like a room of its own. Yeah,
it is, and it's like a feature. The stairs, I don't have much artwork up in the hall or anything. I've got, you know, a mirror and things, but the stairs are a feature. You know, I've gone with the oak and the black, and it is lovely. So that is probably another thing that I really like. On that topic though, we put in a runner, like a runner carpet, going up our stairs. I regret that.
Right, okay.
From a practicality point of view, it's dusty. The either side of the stairs gets dusty. And I feel like probably had I just... Do you know the reason I did that was because I didn't do it in my last house.
Right.
If I'd had that in my last house, I probably wouldn't have done it here. But... yeah, I just, as soon as we can change that,
a runner looks great online.
It looks great
online, but it's not.
It's just annoying. It's the dust, like the carpet doesn't necessarily need hoovered, but then you've got dust either side of it, and obviously we've gone for like the stairs are painted white,
right? Okay,
so you see it, and that is something that I think I wouldn't do again.
Yeah, Chris asked me if we were getting a runner, and I was like, we've got German Shepherd. I do not think so.
I wouldn't do it.
And that is the only place in our house we are going to carpet as well. Yeah. Because like with the hairs and all that, it just like it's just not going to happen.
I know. I think for me the reason we did it was because I really wanted like the trim on the carpet.
The extra detail.
It's the detail.
And then the nice
actually,
like strips.
You can do that now. You can get the carpet the full width and still have the trim. So eventually when I'm allowed to, I was changing it, and that's what we're doing, because it just annoys me a wee bit.
Yeah,
but it still
get a date in the diary.
Yeah, I know. If I'm allowed, I'll need to see.
So, if you could give one piece of advice then for anybody taking on a full renovation to finish this off, what would it be?
Okay, probably.
Or your biggest lesson?
Biggest lesson. I just think find the right people to do the job.
Get your team in.
Yep, get your team. It is a team.
And get them in early.
Yes, and get them in early. That's it. I would say even if you aren't going to be starting the work for months, maybe even a year, get the people in at the beginning, speak to them about it. You know, the guys were great. They came out to the house numerous times. Like, they were there, you know, the day that we were going to buy our kitchen, we phoned them. We're like, this is what we're going to do. What do you think? Like, they were there for us. I think as well, we trusted them all. Like, you're handing over, you know, we moved out, you're handing over your house to them. So I really do think finding your team is really super important, and taking your time with the planning. It's a very expensive mistake. Don't have to do it twice like we did. So I think in terms of other things, I'd probably say like you will go over budget.
Yeah, so how was your budget?
So we had a budget.
But was it worth it?
Yes, we had a budget, and then I kind of stopped being involved in the budget because it got to the stage that it was too much. You know, I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. So Stuart took over that.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. The dynamic between the two of you, like who was in charge of what. Was it all really nice?
Oh yeah, Stuart's very.
Did you enjoy the process together?
We did, but I think I'm lucky that I've got a husband that kind of whatever you want, Erin.
Yes, Erin.
So don't get me wrong, I think if you didn't have one of those guys, then it would have been a bit trickier. But he didn't really like. Stuart's quite laid back as well, so it was. I don't want to steal, the trophy, but it was me. It was me. If he didn't like something, he would say no.
Yeah. We have a veto.
Yeah,
Chris is allowed like two
I don't even know if he said no to anything though. I don't remember. But he definitely towards the end kind of took over with the finances. And actually physically paying people, because going and having to, transfer that amount of money, I was just like, I can't do this. It was I found it difficult. So he took over that side of things and kind of liaising with more technical stuff, like getting the building certificate signed off, all that stuff. By that point, I was kind of like, I'm over this. Like, you take over from that.
That is mentally draining. Taking on something
it is.
Like that.
In terms of budget, we did go over by about 25%.
Right, okay.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like you
I
find
suppose you changed
ways.
it as well to make it bigger.
We did.
That, so
we changed it to make it bigger. You have to find you find a way of making it work. We sacrificed. We didn't go on holiday. I know that's get the tiny violin out, but we did cut back on things. There were certain things in the design process that, for example, like the staircase, I wanted like the staircase all made of oak. Yeah. Like that would have been triple the price.
I wanted mine made of oak as well.
You soon realise
I got put in my place, basically.
That's it. So but then the thing is, we got the oak banister, which still gives the same effect.
That's it.
So there will be compromises you have to make. Like we got back into the house. We didn't have wardrobes upstairs. We then waited a couple of months till we'd saved for them. Like we then got fitted wardrobes. We still don't have our driveway done. We're just getting to the garden now. It's things like that. You can't do everything.
There comes a time though where you need to be like, we need a deadline here to move in and actually start living our life.
But and shop around. There was some things we got that were bargains that you wouldn't know. Like, for example, wall lights in our bedroom were from eBay. Yeah. But they look expensive. There's other things. For example, our hall chandelier was expensive because I'm like, it's the first thing you're going to see when you walk in. Yeah. So you have to be creative with your spending, but you will go over. We were lucky in the sense that nothing major went wrong. Yeah. So it's not as if we had a contingency budget that then went on something that you wouldn't see. Yeah, like in the foundations. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that.
But we did go over. I don't regret anything. I'm so glad we went over because it matters. You got what you wanted. Yeah, you do, and that you can tell like the fixtures and finishings and things are important.
They are.
Light switches. Yeah. If you want the right ones, they are expensive, but I think they speak for themselves.
Yeah. So when we moved into our house, I think it's like a 70s property. So it's got, when we moved in, every bedroom had one single socket. At the opposite side of the room, and I'm like, who's charging their phone over there? I know. Right, so we got this back in and we were like, upgrade that to a double. We put another double over there bed, and now I've went to buy all the sockets and I'm like, oh yeah, now I need to pay triple.
I know, it's just so expensive.
Because I want the nice sockets as well.
That's it. And I remember spending a lot of time looking at sockets, but they are important. Yeah. So yeah, I think.
Especially your light switches, because they're at eye level, so
exactly.
you're not going to want a cheap whitey install one there.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So if people want to be able to look at your home renovation journey, where can they find you on Instagram? So
on Instagram we are Bungalow number 38. And I'm more than happy to, it's quite a lot on there. I had kind of done like highlights week by week of the renovation. Obviously the guys, Aroha paid for professional photos to be done and drone footage and videos and things like that. We've got all the stuff about the Scotland's Home of the Year award and stuff as well. So I like to think there's a lot of kind of tips and inspiration on there, but I'm also just happy to talk to people. We have had people messages, where did you get your flooring? Like, you know, who were your builders? You know, we put a lot of people onto Aroha as well, and I've had people come and see the house that I don't know, but have messaged me and I'm like, can I come and see your house? I'm like, yeah, it doesn't bother me. I'm happy to. I get excited to know that other people are doing renovations as well. Like, I love watching people do their houses and things like that as well. So yeah, I'm more than happy. But Bungalow at number 38.
Amazing. Well, I've followed the page since I think the start. Because I think we met just around the time we were in planning. So I was, I've been, you know, on the journey with you.
You've been there for me with the Ashley, I need to find a shade of white. 40 shades of white later.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much,
thank
Erin,
you for having me.
For coming on. And very special thanks to our sponsor, the Garage Conversion Company, for making this podcast possible.